Greetings, YouTube. This is going to be a discussion involving the sexual extortion of children. So if you're not in a place to listen to that, just go watch one of the other thousands of videos I have on my channel, okay? So the FBI is reporting that there has been a major uptick in the number of cases of sexual extortion being used against minor, the majority of them being used against boys. So these kids make a connection, usually through social media, and eventually they find themselves either blackmailed into or just convinced to send explicit photos to someone who then uses those photos to extort money out of them, or they will go public with said photos. And it appears that a lot of this is coming out of West Africa, which I guess they probably feel a sense of immunity from, like, say, child pornography laws that would be in the country that the boy themselves is in. Because if you definitely do not want to do this if you're in the United States, because you spend a lot of time in prison with if you get caught with child pornography on your computer, and pedophiles don't do well in U.S. prison systems. Really, they really don't. Um, and the FBI has recorded some 3,000 cases, but they know that there are lots more out there that these boys are ashamed to come forward because the social stigma against anyone expressing their sexual thoughts and feelings, and uh, the way boys are and men are perpetuated the whole toxic masculinity thing. So yeah, being put into a position of vulnerability where they're being extorted can very much be part of the process that is being used against these boys, because these extortionists know that these kids are not going to want to come forward because of the social stigma against boys being sexual perchance with other men or other boys, or they're thinking they're other boys. Um, and the FBI has recorded a dozen deaths by suicide because of this. It's a dozen boys who are dead because they were vulnerable and they were extorted, and they felt they couldn't come forward to their parents or to the authorities. And by the time this did come forward, it was too late to save them. And I'm having a real hard time grappling with folks that would do this, that someone anywhere in the world would think this is an effective or a justified means of gaining money. Now, I understand that scamming people for cash has existed since there has been cash. People have always been conned, always. And the advent of telephones broadened that. The advent of, regular mail deliveries expanded that, then phones did. Then, of course, the internet made it worse, and then cell phones made it even easier. Social media makes the connections easier. And people get scammed all the time. I get scamming emails in my Comcast account every single day, sometimes dozens of them in a single day. But all of them are just, standard, bait and switch, or just trying to steal your information. It's not personal, if you get my point. It's just these criminals trying to get money out of someone without doing any work. Their effort is to steal from others, but it's just stuff they're trying to steal. It's just things. It's, you know what I mean? Whereas these extortionists, in this case, are harming someone on a deeply emotional and psychological level. They are exploiting and abusing children sexually. And I don't think that there's a layer in hell deep enough for them to do that. to think it's acceptable, to put yourself into a frame of mind where that's just business. Yeah, that makes me really mad. And I'd love to say that it would be awesome if these guys got caught and they were brought to justice. And the reality is they never will be. They'll probably never even identify them. They probably won't even be able to get, much closer to maybe the country they're in. It just isn't going to happen. And so they'll keep on doing it. But what we can do is raise our kids to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to want to make connections. And it's okay to come forward when you think you're in trouble, when you think you've made the wrong connection, when you were vulnerable with the wrong person. And that's what we can do. We can raise kids in a healthy environment with fact-based sex education, including the use of social media and our digital age of sexting and photos, and that there's an appropriate use of that kind of thing if you're an adult, then there's an inappropriate use of that kind of thing if you're a minor. And we need to make sure that these kids know that they're not going to be charged with a crime, because they shouldn't. No minor that takes a picture of themselves and sends it to someone should be considered to have committed a crime. They should be considered to have been the victim of one. They shouldn't ever end up on some registry. And the fact is that sometimes they do, which is soul-crushing in and of itself. If you punish the victims, you're just victimizing them even more. You're just driving people further and further away from the help they need. And you're greatly increasing the chance that they're going to be one of those kids that doesn't make it out of this process alive. So to the perpetrators of this, wherever you are in the world, you'll never see this video, I know. But if you do, may you burn in the deepest level of hell.